Hello everyone, our lesson for today is all about complex number. When we know that complex number, there is no real number whose square is negative number. For example, in these definitions of I, it is an imaginary number. That negative real number is the letter I was chosen to represent an imaginary number whose square is negative 1. Like for example, I squared is equal to negative 1 in definitions of I. So we have I squared is equal to negative 1. And you can see the definitions of square root of negative a here, where square root of negative a becomes I square root of a. Then square root of negative 4 becomes I. When we see negative, we can use the imaginary number which is represented by I, so that the real number becomes positive. We can use in the standard form, which is A positive B I. Then if A and B are real numbers and I is the imaginary unit, then A plus BI is called the complex number. And then we can use this in a standard form, which we can use the complex number which is A positive BI. So we have an example 3 positive square root of negative 4. So we can solve by using the imaginary unit. So we have in standard form. So we have 3 positive 2i. This is the answer, because we can follow the standard form. And then this one, we have an exercises number 1. Write each complex number in standard form, as I give you the standard form. So we have 2 positive square root of negative 9, where negative we can use an imaginary number which represents I. So we have 2 positive I square root of 9, and the answer is 2 positive 3i. And let's have another example number 2. We have 8 positive square root of negative 3, where 8 positive, and then we can use the imaginary unit which represents I, and then the square root of positive 3. And this is the answer. Let's have another example number 3. We have negative square root of 81, where I represents the negative. So the square root of 81. So in standard form, we can write first the number. So 9i, which square root of 81 is 9, and the imaginary unit, which is 9i. And then let's have another example number 4. And then we have negative 16 square root positive 7, where I represents negative, and then square root of 16 plus 7, and then we can write first the number, which is the square root of 16 is equal to 4, and then the imaginary unit plus 7. So the answer is 7 positive 4i. It is in standard form. And then let's have another example number 5, which is 4 minus square root of negative 121 is equal to 4 minus I represents negative, and the square root of 121 is equal to 4 minus the square root of 121 is 11. So we can write in the standard form the number first before the imaginary number, so which is 4 negative 11i, and this is the answer. And then we have the definition of addition and subtractions of complex numbers. This one we can use the rules, and we can collect like terms, like for example, if A positive B, I positive C positive D, I are complex number. And then we have the rules in addition and subtractions of complex numbers, where we can follow the rules when we solve the complex number. Like for example, quantity A positive BI plus C positive DI is equal to A plus C in the first, plus BI plus BI and DI, where we can group together B plus D quantity of I. And then in subtractions, we have A positive BI minus C positive DI, where A minus C we group together, plus the inverse of this C DI, where we can inverse, we have B minus D I. And then we have an example 2 positive 5I. Number 1, we have plus 3 positive 7I. So in the additions, we can collect A and B, A and C, which 2 plus 3. A plus C becomes 2 plus 3. And then C plus DI, we have 5I plus 7I, so 5 plus 7I. We can use in the standard form above in addition. So we have 2 plus 3 becomes 5, and then we have 12I. So it is written in the standard form, therefore the answer is 5 plus 12I. This is the answer. And then let's have another example number 2. We have 8 negative 6I quantity minus 10 minus I. Remember that I here is constant term. We have one coefficient, so we have 8 minus 10 plus negative 6 minus 1, where the value of I here is 1. So we have since this one is negative, so we have to add. First we have to subtract 8 and negative 10, so we have negative 2. And then this one we have negative 7, so we have negative 7I, and then it is written in the standard form, therefore the answer is negative 2 negative 7I. So another example number 3, negative 5 minus I plus 9 negative 2I. So we have negative 5 plus 9 plus negative I. Remember, negative I here, the value of I is 1. So we have negative I, negative 2I. So we have 1 plus 2, negative 3I. So for this one, multiply negative times positive becomes negative 3I, and it is written in the standard form. Therefore, for negative 3I is the answer.